I am Larry Weingart, originally from Chicago, and moved to Florida, I think, in 1971. I had 3 beautiful children and an absolutely wonderful life. And then, of course, there's some dynamics in my life. I think when I was 14, my shotgun exploded, put me in the hospital. They called it shrapnel, hit me in the chest and went out the back, but that's what boys do, you know. But I think the most recent was the little motorcycle accident. Just a Sunday afternoon, going to my brother's house down the street, and one of my son's friends come by with a zing-zing. He said, "Hey, you want to ride it?" Because he evidently knew I used to ride big motorcycles. I said, "Sure."
It was a little pocket rocket, right?
Yeah, a little pocket rocket.
A really small motorcycle.
Yeah, so, you know, just a couple of blocks, who thinks about wearing a helmet? And evidently, it wasn't all connected right. It drove my head into the concrete at 35 miles an hour. And that's where it all began. Here the lights were out, but where I was, crystal clear. And it certainly wasn't here. They took me into ER, and they said, "We got to operate on this guy right away." Mm-hmm. Neural trauma, which causes you to have a stroke. If you don't breathe for half an hour, you're going to have a stroke.
Right.
So evidently, from what they tell me, they rushed me into the operating room, into the theater, which they call it. And I was kind of in and out of it a little bit, looking around. I wasn't really sure what was going on. So I seen all the ones.
All the nurses and doctors?
Yeah, I kind of was going out of my body when I was in the ER.
Okay.
But I thought, you know, this time I'm going to look at my body. I'm going to see, you know, what I'm like leaving this thing. And you really still do look like you. Except you got another one of you laying on the table.
So would you call it your soul, or how would you describe what that is?
I think it's, you may say you're a etheric body. Yeah.
And what did it look like? Was it transparent, or?
It does look a little bit more, you might say, animated.
Okay.
A little bit, maybe a teeny bit more wavy, kind of like, yeah, so I looked down at myself and I pretty much looked like me. So I was okay with that. So I thought, well, let me look around a little bit here. Of course, still not certain why I was there.
So at this point, you're having what some people might describe as an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, totally out-of-body experience.
Okay.
I kind of got in the upright position. I'm going to look around a little bit and, you know, check this place out. So they're really, really busy in there working on me.
Yeah.
So I was watching them work, and they're really busy, and they had drills and they had they call it a traumatic brain injury, so they had to relieve the pressure. And, oh, great.
They had to put a small hole in your skull to relieve the pressure.
Yeah, they sure did. So I was thinking, yeah, this is pretty interesting. And that's when I thought, you know, maybe I'll open my eyelid or wink at them or something and freak them out. And I was thinking, no, because they are so intently busy, I don't want to distract them. So I decided just to leave well enough alone with them. And one of the things I noticed was I didn't really have this big concern about what's what. You think you would, but I didn't.
Okay.
You sort of have a overwhelming sense of well-being. Not to mention you might be 185 pounds lighter. And I've been there before in these meditative states. A lot of times you come back here and there's so many things you wanted to do or wanted to ask, or you come back with more questions than what you came with. Mm-hmm. So I decided, well, since I'm here, I'm going to look around. So I wasn't too interested in where everybody was moaning and groaning about their dad and their sweetheart that's in an operation. Mm-hmm. I decided to do something else and kind of go up through the levels of the hospital.
Okay.
And being in construction so much of my life, I wanted to look at the different size gravel in the concrete on these levels. And it was different size gravel, you know, metal and everything else. So I'm going up to the building. And, you know, like I said, here wasn't all that much aware of what's going on, but where it was crystal clear, and I mean crystal clear.
Wow.
So I went up through the different levels of the hospital. I arrive at the top of the hospital. So we're standing on there, looking at the sky, and there was occasionally someone from the hospital that was going out there.
Like a spirit or a soul that was somebody in the hospital?
Yeah, these are the ones that didn't make it.
Okay, and did they seem like they're going fast, or?
No, they just kind of drift right on out. It just seemed to me like they really weren't paying attention.
Okay.
And it was a young girl on the roof, and she was standing around like I was, and she looked really, really distraught. And evidently she was visiting the ones in the waiting room who got the word that she didn't make it. So,
wow.
So it's kind of, evidently it was a busy night at the hospital that night.
Yes.
Hanging out on the roof up there. And I still notice that you kind of go wherever you anticipate. So I decided, well, I'll cruise on out there a little bit. And I was well aware at that time, if you decide you're going to go to the moon, you're going to be there really, really quick.
Wow.
Alpha Centauri, it doesn't matter. So I decided, well, I'll just move a little bit slowly out here. And you can see different things. You can actually hear the sound of the planets, especially the sun. They actually make sounds.
Wow.
Kind of like a low rumbling sound. So I was moving a little bit away from the hospital there. And these two ones were coming towards me. And there's really no, well, it's a girl, it's a boy, or whatever, but I could tell by the height they looked like a couple.
Okay.
They were coming towards me. And you have this sense that they're not impositional. Sort of like a loving feeling. So they got probably about the distance from anybody's house to their front road.
Okay.
And he said, "Can I come to you?" I said, "Sure." So they came up to me, and they were kind of, a little bit illuminated, you might say. Kind of hazy, enlightened look to them. And they noticed I was looking off into the distance out there, whatever captivates your attention. And I noticed this one area out there, it kind of looked like a dome-looking disc-like. I was kind of looking at it, and he said, "You want to go with us out there?" Not saying what it was. I said, "Sure." So, boom, there we are. So we arrived at this place. I had no clue what it was, but it looked very, very intriguing, very intriguing. And we're going to touch down on this place. Later I found out it was called the Energy Island. So we touched down on this place on the outside of the Energy Island.
Can you explain what it looked like?
It looked like a planet, except it was more flat. It just looked like a disc out there in space, and the center was really, really illuminated. And there was this beam of light coming in one side of it. And the outside edge of this energy island going in, maybe a mile or something, was called the borderland. These ones there, when you meet them, they're happy to tell you about it. They're really happy to tell you about it. And then from the borderland, the interior is where what I would call the enlightened ones are. They're a little bit more illuminating. The borderlanders aren't, look like ordinary people. Probably kind of like I did.
Yeah.
So this couple that brought me there, we touched down in the borderland, and she hands me off to someone there. Like to meet you. He holds out his hand, and boom, I touched down.
Wow. So
I realized I arrived. And at that time, he told me, he says, "You realize the first thing that happened when you do go didn't kill you." I was like, "What?" I ain't got a clue. Did I go or something? So this one's going to show me around the borderland. Marvelous place, I might say.
Can you explain what it was like, or what the feeling was, or?
Well, what it is they actually have what looks like trees and roads and buildings and sheds
Really?
and garages and nursing homes and hospitals. And evidently what happens is these ones that die in nursing homes and such, the welcoming committee will take them there and they'll still think they're in a nursing home or a hospital or whatever. So they kind of gently come
It's
to
like
the realization.
a transitional
Yeah,
place.
they don't want to shock anybody. The star reflex is at the top of their list.
Okay.
I mean, I even asked one of these enlightened ones, why don't you just pop in here once in a while? On someone's couch, say, "Here I am," and they're so concerned about that startle reflex,
Oh, wow.
and they don't like parlor tricks. That's another one. They don't. So I'm kind of getting the feel of this borderland area. Although the interior where those enlightened ones was really intriguing.
So in the borderland is where they have like the transitional period, the transitional place where they have things that look like what you might find on Earth.
Yeah, pretty much. Look quite. Like I said, but if you're familiar with it, it's a little bit more animated.
Okay.
Maybe slightly more translucent, and things don't operate, but you get used to it really, really quick.
Okay.
You get used to the fact that you're moving with without any transportation, just shoot.
Wow.
But a lot of these ones don't even question it. They're there, they just acclimate like instantly. And so I see this one character that I knew. He wrote a book years ago. Evidently he channels. And the book I was reading, I was so intrigued listening to him talk about what it was like where he was at. It's like he took you there. And I've seen this character. He was standing over by some garage, like he worked there, on his milling machine or something. He waved to me. And for some reason I knew him. I never met him or seen him in my life, but I knew it was him. And he knew me.
Wow.
So in the meantime, this other personality is going to show me around the place, so I just waved to him. Later to find out that's what these ones do on the borderland. They talk to ones here.
Oh, wow.
You'll have someone that's distressed about something and they get the answer. Oh, how often do they really think where that answer came from?
Right.
But you always see people go, "Oh, I got the answer," like they're pointing up or something. It's not up. So they get this, and this is what the borderlands do, is they channel. And I was watching them, and it's like they can hear the overtone structure of the earth and many, many other places. And they kind of put it together and come up with, they have scientists there, they got all kinds of ones. Physicists, medical people, they got them all there.
Wow.
And they chit-chat with each other and they send the information. And then the person, like I said, "Oh, I got it."
Now, you say other places, so other than just planet Earth, there's other places that they're sending information to?
These ones at this energy island, I noticed they were sending information here,
Okay.
but they're also sending it to other places.
Wow.
The ones in the interior, they step into that light beam thing, go actually to the sun.
Wow.
They call the ones there starry beings. And there's another place they go, they call them heavenly beings. And they come here, they call this entire place Disney World. And they always say, "We hope you don't nuke each other." They hope you don't blow it up because they like coming here. So I'm hanging out there in the borderland watching this going on. And they're really, really interesting because once in a while, a borderlander will be chit-chatting with the other borderlanders and they really can't figure it out. So they'll chit-chat with the enlightened ones on the inside, in the interior part, and they could walk right in or walk right out if they wanted to. No armed guards. And then it's like, oh, it dawns on them and shoom, there goes that information again.
Wow.
So I was still very, very intrigued with the interior of the energy island there, where this light beam came in. It was at least 10 feet high. And being that science is one of my gigs, I was really interested in looking at this thing. So I walk in there, and this light beam comes in across the borderland and into the interior of the energy island. And it just terminates there. And it's just got a flat surface face. And that's it. So I'm looking at it, and I walk back out to the energy island and looked underneath it. And it's just round and just comes in. And then the flat surface actually had defined edges. I mean, it was a flat surface.
Wow.
You talk about compelling. Wow.
Oh,
You just want to step into that sweetheart light beam. It's like you would fall in love with a light beam.
Could you step into any part of it, or could you only step in through the flat surface part?
Not at all. Not at all. I stood in front of it and looked at it.
In front of the flat part?
Yeah, right at the front of it, at the face of it.
Is that what you call it, like the entrance, or?
Evidently it was the entrance, and I just, so compelling, you just want to step in there. And I noticed the ones around there, what I call the enlightened ones. I don't know if it was a light coming from there that enlightened them, or they might have stepped in there and became enlightened.
Okay.
And I'm looking at it, and so I'm answering this one next to me, and I said, this thing is so bright. I mean, it's going to cook me. I feel like I'm going to get a suntan or something. He goes, no. I said, why is that? He said, it's not like sunshine on a bright day. He said, this is what they call pure energy.
Wow.
Of course, that makes a lot of sense, all right? So I'm still very, very compelled to, just loving this thing. You can just feel it. You're just saturated with this pure energy thing. And I had tremendous apprehension. I cannot tell you. I wanted to step in there so much, but this apprehension was just, It's kind of like you think if you step into it, you're going to lose yourself, or you don't know what. And I've had that before, rappelling off of cliffs, ziplining over jungle forests, when you get all launched up, ready to do it, a little apprehension, but not like this. This is like, whoa. So I'm standing in front of it, and nobody's really bugging me. And I could hear the sound inside of it, something activated or something in there. Hear the sound. And it's sort of like the whales have this real low frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And the science of low frequencies, they go long distances. I mean, a whale can literally talk around the globe, but we can't hear it so low.
Right.
So I hear this in there. I mean, it's a low frequency. I can't make it out, but I can tell it is someone saying something.
Oh, wow.
So, and keep in mind, I've never been religious, but this is the interesting part. So I'm standing outside there, still very, very compelled and would love to step in this thing. I can't figure out my extreme apprehension. So I see this one in there starting to move and starting to come out. And boom, 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 steps out. And it's none other than Jesus himself. Now, how would I know? You could show me 18 pictures from the Bible. I would have known one from the other. I just wasn't into it. But you absolutely knew it was him. So he comes out and he's standing in front of me. And he kind of talks with his hands like this. And all the other enlightened ones are all, huh? They're all interested in hearing what the latest is. And he says to me, did you hear what God said? I said, what? That was God? And evidently it's the overtone structure of everything that's conscious creates that light beam thing.
Okay.
And it does have a voice. So he said, do you want to hear what God said? I said, after I got over that was God. He says, yeah. And he says, he says that what God said was we should all go back and bring our loved ones and our friends here to step into the lake. What am I supposed to do? Rent a Greyhound bus from Disney World? So that's when it all began. I said, sure. Boom. I landed here in that hospital bed like a 500-pound bag of potatoes.
Wow.
I could actually feel my weight hit it. And then I'm back on Earth.